In this video, we're going to look at how we can evaluate an algebraic expression. We talked about what they are in the first place and how we can write one. Now let's talk about how we can actually solve one. Evidence-wise, we're going to have to learn what substitution means so that we can then substitute a value for a variable. After that, we just need to use what we already know to help us evaluate an expression. We have our learning experience down there. Pretty straightforward stuff. So, let's talk about substitution. Substitution is just replacing a variable or variables with a different value. Now, technically, in your guys' book, it says with a different number. However, it doesn't always need to be a number. Sometimes you can put a different entire expression in there. To keep things simple, we'll keep it as a number, but make sure you write down that definition for substitution instead of just a number. So, what does that actually mean? Let's say that we have our expression here, 2x, where we know that x is going to be equal to 4. So all we're going to do is we're going to rewrite our expression, except we're going to replace our x with a 4. That's all there is. Now, if you're not familiar with this notation where we have 2x next to each other, that just means that we're multiplying them. So that means that if we were to evaluate this expression, we just get 8. Nothing too bad. What's important to remember is that we could change what x is. Just because we say that it's 4 for this problem does not mean it's going to be 4 for every problem. We could even do a type of problem where we give it several different values, and we need to evaluate for each of them. So we'd say that this will be equal to 8 if x is equal to 4. We could also do this if x was 5, or if x was 1/2. We could evaluate all of those. Substitution just means that you're placing your variable with, for right now at least, a number. So we already kind of looked at how we can evaluate an algebraic expression, but let's do it with a little bit of a harder one. Remember that x could be any number. In this specific problem, we're going to say that x is equal to 1.8. Yes, we're going to use decimals because we need to practice those. So the first step is just going to be to rewrite the problem, but we're going to replace the variable with the value that we need to use. So in this case, 1.8. Then we can go about evaluating this. At this point, it's another numerical expression. We just have to use PEMDAS. We'll start off with our multiplication, which we know is here. Since I noticed that we seem to be struggling with multiplication a bit, let's do it off to the side. Remember, we don't need to line up our decimal points. Then we just multiply like normal. So 2 times 8 is 16. We carry a 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. And then we have 1 digit after our decimal point, so we're going to move this forward 1 spot. So if we rewrite this, we're going to have 3.6 plus 3.1. Now when we add decimals, this is where we want to make sure that our decimal points are lined up, our place values are lined up. And then we just add like normal. 3 plus 1 is 7. Our decimal point is here. 3 plus 3 is 6. So if we evaluate this expression, our solution is going to be 6.7. So nothing too bad. Really, the only new part is making sure that we substitute in our value, and then from there it's all just PEMDAS again. There's nothing new at all. In this you-do, you're actually going to use the exact same expression, 2x plus 3.1. However, like I've said, x does not matter what it is. We can change it as we so choose. In this problem, we're going to change x to be 6.4. So pause the video here, give this a try, do it in your spiral. Ready to go. Things to remember from this video: when you're evaluating an algebraic expression, replace the variable with a number. When you get much further in math, you might do substitution with something other than just a number. You might put in another expression. But for the time being, just replace it with a number. The problem should also give you which number you're going to use to replace it with. Then you just evaluate it as though it were a numerical expression. So in other words, you're going to use PEMDAS. Really, the only new thing here is that first step. That first thing to remember, replacing your variable, doing substitution. That's the only thing that you need to remember from this video that's new in this video. So finally, some suggested practice problems for you. There are 3 algebraic expressions. I've given you what each of the variables should be for them. Substitute them in, evaluate them. Nothing too different. Then there's also a word problem, which again, you have all the information you need. You have an expression, you know what your variable needs to be. See what you can do. This is a more real-life situation, though, where you would actually use an algebraic expression in real life, of course. So, good luck.